Page 21, Stompin the Blues Away. Now I have a process I go through when I learn a new piece of music, and that's the process I use when I cover these lessons. Same process. You have your own process, everybody does, it's up to you. But for these videos we use my process, so be patient, I'll get there eventually. First I look it over. I see it's 3 pages long. At the beginning it's bass clef in both staves. One flat in the key signature, so we're either in the key of F major or D minor. This sounds like it's in D minor to me, so I'm going to guess it's in D minor. Just make sure you can do the scale, the F major and the D minor scales. And it's in cut time, so 2/2 time. So the eighth notes are like 1 E and a 2 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a yuck. So what I do when I learn a piece that's in cut time is I will temporarily pretend, I like to pretend, that it's in 4/4 time because it's easier to count. So I can go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, the eighth notes, easier to count. And then later on, when I have the rhythm and I know how it goes, then I can put it back in cut time. And I'll do that later in the lesson. So I'm going to talk about this as though it's in 4/4 time. I want to cover the fingering and rhythm and notes and all for each hand. Right hand starts it, and that's a 2/1 here, your bass clef, 3 and 4 and 3 and here, it's okay, and you do it again, sort of. And again, and 2. The little grace note, I'll come back to that later. I'm going to leave it out for now. There, right there. 5, and then a 4, 3, 2. This way I'm not crossing over the thumb if I don't have to. Yeah. And then measure 8, you come down. Measure 15. It's a D, an E flat, and a G. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Because those first 2 eighth notes are tied. Although there's a tied note for each of those. There's 3 tied notes. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then 2 measures later, 1 and. Now, whether you use a 2 or a 3 on the last F is up to you. I usually leave the 3rd finger there because it's there. But if you want to use a 2 on it, that's fine. There's no right or wrong here. How's to finger it? And then measure 19. It's a B flat, a C sharp, and an E. Yeah. And starting on measure 20, we want to get as many of these chords in one hand position as possible. And that's sort of what they're doing. They're here and they come down. So you got all these last ones in one. If you can't come up in here, then rather than 3 and 5 there for the end of measure 20, rather than that, use 4 here, and then you can do here, and then here. You're using this fingering. Depends on how big your hands are. So just saying, if you don't want to be up in here to use the thumb on that, then we use this other fingering here, and then here. Now, measure 24, 1 and 2, 3, 2, 1, and then stay there. Again, 3, 2, 1, stay there. Again, 3, 2, 1, and stay there. That's okay. Measure 33 and 32. I don't like that, but okay, we'll do it. And again, we want to cover in measures 33 and 34. I want to cover as many of these chords in one hand position. So it's here, here, and then I come down. Here. And that's sort of what they're doing in the book. I'm just not putting the thumb on the black key, so I altered this, the same fingering we had before. And then measure 37, same thing, and bass clef. Only you're coming up. Left hand, start out 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Second measure, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then come up. like using that, but sometimes we have to, especially in blues and jazz and boogie woogies and things. We gotta finger it that way. So, okay, I'll tolerate it for now. But when we get down to measure 9 on these, I don't want to use thumb for all of that. So, and I don't want to be coming to here. So I'm going to stay out here, and I'm going to use second finger for the B flat. Just staying there. My thumb is just moving on all of these. Measure 15, same thing. I'm going to use thumb for the second finger for the E flat. Now measure 20. You're here, and you come up here. 1 and 2 and 3. Again, I'm catching as many of these in one hand position as I can. So here, and then here. Now change. And then change. It takes a little practice on that, but I like that fingering. It's not showy. If you want to be showy, you use the same 2 fingers on all of them. If you want to be showy, just 2 and 3 on all of them going down. Otherwise, you use this fingering. I like this fingering. Now, measure 24 here. They've got 3. I would suggest, see this sequence going up. If I can find a fingering that works throughout each pattern in this sequence going up, I want to use it. We did it in the right hand. Starting, we had 3, 1. And if it had gone up, I'd keep doing 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Whatever the notes are, I just keep using that same fingering. Well, I want to do sort of this in the left hand here. So I'm going to go here, 4, 4, 4. So I'm using 4th finger on each of those lower notes. And thumb. So I'm using 3, 4, and the thumb on these, and I go up until the end, and 2 and 5, and again. I measured 28 because it's a black key. I'm not going to use thumb, so I got to use another finger. But I'm still using 4 on that here, and now. So there it's a 2, 4, thumb, 4, and then this ugly looking thing I measured 30. It's a D, an E, and an F. That's what it is. I mean, that sharp in the previous measure is only good for that measure. So this is an F natural. And then, well, so you figure out a fingering that works for you, pencil it in and stick with it. Or use the fingering in the book. Now measure 37. You're here, here. Again, I don't want to move my hand around anymore now. So I'm catching this one hand position, and then I move. Measure 43, treble clef. And the whole note, the left hand plays it. It's an A, a D, and an E. The fingering you use is up to you. I usually don't use thumb because thumb is a short finger and I have to reach further. So I'd use one of these others so I don't have to reach as far. But you can use thumb if you want to. You just got to reach a little further. And then the last note is a D with an AV8 under it, so you go down here. Then, once I have an idea what each hand is doing, I try and put the hands together. Now I'm going to hesitate all over. I don't care. I just want to know when the fingers and the hands are working together. But beginning is not too much. 1 and 2 and 3 and hold this down as you play that. Now hold that down as you play that. Make sure that you're holding these half notes down. And I'm going a little fast because I've already been through this, but when I started, I'm usually really slow, like I measure 15. Right there. 1, and hold that down as you play that, and then play it. So. And here. Right, measure 19. 1 and 2 and 3. And that is still a C sharp. What's going on? I measure 20, 21. Well, it's just all eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and... There. And if you're using the fingering where you're not moving your hand around too much, then it's not too bad. If you're going to move your hand around a lot, you got to memorize these measures because you're constantly moving. Then I'll measure 24. We're here. 1 and 2 and... They're just all eighth notes. You can work that out, I hope. So you go through and you get the hands together, and then I go through it a few hundred times slowly, and I gradually get rid of the hesitation. So it is a steady beat. It can be a slow beat, doesn't matter, but it's got to be steady, no hesitations anywhere. And once I have an idea of that, it's under control, sort of, then I add the articulation and the grace notes. I'm going to connect it at the beginning. Accent. Staccato. Here, and then do it again. So it's... Get the idea. I'll measure 7 with the grace notes, just a real quick little note. Just a real quick little note. I'm hinging at the wrist on it real short. And then here. And on the right end, how you play the grace note is up to you and your teacher. I don't care. Most people, they'll play it before the beat. I don't. I play it on the beat. Accent. Add the accents. Measure 20. Well, 19. That's staccato accents. Accent. And then just connect them. And then staccato. Staccato. These are not staccato. So. Accent, measure 24. Accent. So you can get the accents and the staccatos and stuff. And once I have an idea of that, and then I think about the dynamics. See, I like to do this one thing at a time so I can really focus on it. At the beginning, it's forte or loud. It's going to be both hands, whatever you think loud is. Don't get carried away. It makes the accent and note a very loud note. And you're staying loud until measure 9 and 10. You come down to soft in the left hand because you're going to be moderately loud in the right hand. So you put in the dynamics, just go through and you feel it. Get to where these dynamics are they feel right. Then I think about the speed. Well, energico, and I can't say the word. It's with energy. I need more coffee. And I put in the natural accents. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you got to put it back in cut time. Well, we don't have to count it anymore because we can feel it. So we want to feel it in 2. 1, 2. It can be a slow 2, but it's 1. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. You feel it. Now we have to deal with this page turn too, because you can't mess up the beat because of the page turn. So what do? Well, there's techniques for it. First, memorize it. That's the best. Otherwise, at least memorize page 21. If you can memorize that much, you don't have to worry about the page turn. Otherwise, maybe you get somebody to turn the page for you. That works. If there's nobody around to do that, then you have to figure out how to do it yourself. Well, you look around. Is there places where one hand isn't busy? Well, at the bottom, page 21, you got this in the right hand. If you cut that half note a little bit short, then you got time maybe to turn the page right quick in the right hand as you're doing this in the left hand. If you have to leave out notes, we don't like to, but if you have to, you got to figure out what needs to be heard and leave out anything else. I mean, everything needs to be heard, but if you have to leave something out, pick something. You don't leave out melody, but you need this. You don't want to lose that. So it's like both are busy here. Now on measure 16, the right hand didn't do anything. So if you can memorize measure 15, then you can go ahead and turn the page when you're doing measure 16, your right hand right quick. Something like that. We do practice page turns when we have to get them right. It has to be done quickly and quietly, but don't mess up the beat, whatever you do. Don't mess up the beat. If you don't get your right hand back down in time, tough. Keep that left hand going and get the right hand in as soon as you can.